at the minute, are we?
Say that again.
That's fine. It's just my computer gone. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. I'll just hide my face so then it doesn't block your view. Can you all see this screen nice and clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Cool. So yeah, this background noise. Yeah, there is a lot of background noise, guys. So just you'll have to bear with me. I'm just in a cafe, that's why. First of all, kind of today's outcomes. I just want to share with everyone, and I want you guys to share with me what's going well with your online lessons or face-to-face really quickly. And then I'm going to kind of ignore my spelling errors. I've literally done this, and this format, this thing I have doesn't have spell check, so ignore any spelling errors. Don't pick me up on it. And also just to kind of see, just to kind of remind you of certain housekeeping rules, registers and things like that, which Chris asked me to pass on. She can't make it either today. And then, especially for the new people, I want to be recapping our methodology here at Aim High. It's called the DTTR method. If you've watched the video, you know exactly what I mean. And then lastly, Shabazz and Saida really kindly volunteered to kind of go over certain things like Classkick and Kahoot, things that we use to kind of get engagement up in the class as well. So first of all, really quickly, I'm literally going to do, anyone just shout, anyone could just go for it. One thing that's going well with your online lessons or even face-to-face lessons. Has anyone got anything that they want to share? Shout it out, guys.
With regard to online, it's just a bit more efficient, I believe, than face-to-face. Feel it's a lot more. You get a lot more done, especially you can set a lot more work.
Yeah, okay.
Work independently.
Okay. Anyone else got anything?
I think what I like about doing it in person is I feel like I can have more of a conversation with the student because like he's right in front of me.
Okay.
So I can see like what he's struggling with.
That's good. See student. Okay, and again, equal interaction. Okay. Got my handwriting as well. Anyone else got anything that they want to mention, or yeah, anything good first of all that's going with online lessons or face to face?
I think Saida's put that in the chat. That's pretty.
Okay.
It's a good point about being able to do more exam questions online, which is quite.
Okay, so you're able to share more exam style questions online.
All right.
Okay, I guess it's that the idea that we can share more resources rather than printing things out. We can just go online, find our files, share the screen, and you've got all that as well, haven't you? Okay, perfect. Anything else? Anyone, Naima, or anyone want to write anything in the chat?
I think with online again, you can get quite quick answers from everybody, like through the chat facility. It's everybody's work is on your screen with Classkick as well, for example.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and another thing I like about the quick answers is on online the chat function. I'm not sure if you're all using it as efficiently as you can do, because one of the things I've noticed as well with the chat function is, when just like today, like not everybody will be taking part. So one of the things I tell kids is write your answers in the chat, so they'll all write their answers in the chat. I tell them not to press enter until I count them in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, and then when they all press enter together, all the answers comes up on my screen, and then they're more accountable. Then they know, oh crap, I need to be aware and to be kind of on my toes. Otherwise, they just sit back and let all the kind of louder ones do the work. So that's something that you could do. Just get them to write the answers in the chat, but don't press enter until you count them down 3, 2, 1. And then that gives you kind of formative feedback as well. Have they understood it? Have they understood the question that you've asked them to? Are they giving the right answer and so on? So yeah, that's good. I like the quick answers one. Anyone else want to mention anything? Well, I'm going to kind of go pretty quick because I don't want to spend too long, spend too much of your time. No, is anything not going well with online?
When the kids don't put the camera on, you can't really tell body language wise what's going on.
Yep. Cameras, yeah, and body language. That's a good one. Anything else? Sometimes
they're shy to even verbally give you an answer, so that's another one where they're shy giving you an answer verbally.
Okay. Anyone else say there or neighbor? I know you guys do have online lessons. Focusing on the chat. Anyone else? So yeah, go on.
I would just say sorry. I was going to say bad internet connection, which I'm struggling with today, which is why I keep coming in and out.
Right. Okay. Bad internet. Okay. No more writing. You get the gist. So bad internet. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm struggling with right now, but mine is more background noise. Obviously, typically I would do this in a quiet room, classroom, or at home, but today's kind of I just got stuck here and I couldn't get home in time. So yeah, the key thing with the cameras, guys, you forcefully get them to keep it on. One of the things that I've been telling parents is, look, if your child hasn't got their camera on, we've asked the teacher to remove them from the lesson until they call us back. So that's kind of that's a threat that I've given them. So they're all aware. So just remind them, because it's just a way to hide, basically. If they don't want to put the cameras on, it's because they're wandering around or playing on the games on the side. So that's kind of the things that they try to do when they've not got the cameras on. Same with audio. I know Michael kind of forces them to get the cameras on, and he sees them constantly throughout the lesson. And occasionally, at times, I know Shabazz, you do that as well. Like you say, okay, you're getting on with your work on Classkick, for example, where the teacher can actually see the work. Put it off. That's not a problem. Yeah. But in the main interaction, the main discussion part of the lesson, camera should always be on. Okay, guys, listen, I want to move on. These are a couple of things that I've mentioned before and the things that I like when I go into your classes, when I'm jumping in and out. So the teacher modeling, now with online lessons and face-to-face, guys, this is so key, how we model the way we set questions out. So I know I keep banging on about the I do, we do, you do, and check system, whereby, for those that don't know, I do is one solid example that the teacher shows or does. Then the we do section is where you kind of interact with the students and you get answers from them to do a different question. And then the third one is where you give them one question to do to check have they understood it. So they answer the questions and then they've understood it. And the you do could be in the form of the chat function where you count them down 3, 2, 1 and enter together. So that could be a you do. And the check is obviously for you to check have they understood it before you move on to the practice questions and so on. So that's good at modeling. I've seen people like look at exam responses and go through that. That's quite good. And guys, just because it's online and even face-to-face, everything counts, for both online and face-to-face. Make sure they are making notes. If they're not making notes, if they're not jotting things down, they're not really doing the work. Yeah. And with parents, they want to see the work after the lesson. A lot of parents check the books, and if they've not got anything written down concrete, then the parents think they've not been learning anything. So make a habit of getting them to copy things down. And this one is not assuming they've understood anything. The question we ask is, does that make sense? They will always say yes, but most of the time they said no, they don't have a clue. So the way I've seen some teachers combat this is they'll give them a question. So for example, I don't know, to a math teacher, so you'll give them that question. If they can answer it and get it correct, individually, then they've understood it. Then you don't even ask the question, does it make sense? So moving on. Sorry guys, this is going to be quite informative. I'm just going to be blasting you with information because it's like a short meeting. You don't want to make it too long. And another thing that I like is the variety. Man, this is so nice to see when I'm walking in and out of lessons, the different sort of activities people use. It's not just teacher talk. It's you're using different things. You're using differentiated lessons because in a class you sometimes have all sorts of different abilities. So you've got the bronze, silver, gold, people using it like that. The teachers taking risks. Sometimes things don't work. Yeah, they don't work, but you're taking a risk and trying it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, well, you try something else another time. Different variety of homework. I know people do online homework, and some people doing it using either MathWatch or Seneca or Classkick. So these are quite good. And the important one, you can't really see on this. It's this one here, challenging the brightest students. The brightest students, these guys get bored. Yeah. If you don't challenge them, give them questions that will engage them, they'll get bored and they'll switch off. Okay. So that's something that I've noticed. These are good. So Classkick, Said is going to go over that later on. A top resource. This is both for face-to-face and online. Literally, you can see what the student is writing in real time. So you send them a link and everything comes up on your screen and you can mark it and they get the feedback instantly. It eliminates them having to write anything on a piece of paper or anything like that. So it's really good. Zoom chat, I mentioned before, MathWatch. If you're a maths teacher and you want me to create a login for you, I'll also send you a video which teaches you how to use it. So let me know. Quizzes and competition, this is awesome. I've seen so many good quiz competitions going on. competitions allow certain students who kind of are disengaged to come into a lesson and really, show their true colors. So make sure you have some elements of competition or some quizzes, something that they can like get a buzz out of basically, and having a leadership board as well, so they can actually see where they are on the leadership board. Calling out quiet students, this is good. And one of the things I want to mention in this is to call out quiet students, make a note of all the students in the class and try to speak or engage with each student twice in the lesson, at least. Yeah. So if you've got a class of say 10, speak to every student at least twice in a lesson, and that way you know that they're engaging and you know you've got them. Because what happens is we end up talking to the louder students most of the time, and the quiet ones get missed out. And here's the big one. And I know Mr. Michael's not here, but he's a king of rapport and relationship. It makes such a huge impact, guys. Having a relationship, having a bit of banter, not too much, but enjoying getting the students to enjoy your presence, for them to want to come into your class. And in this, energy is key. If you're one of the teachers that are just like, like you don't want to be there, basically, you're like low in confidence, not low in confidence, low in energy, then it rubs off on the kids. Whereas if you're really kind of into the lesson and you really show that energy, the kids love that, and having that relationship with them is important. Sometimes you might want to ask them, what team do you support? Make it natural, and then they like it. Certain kids, are quite close, but a lot of kids, if you start speaking to them, it's good. And that's why we allow kind of a bit of time at the beginning and at the end to have, with the kids. So like the first 5 minutes, you might just have a chat with them. That's fine. The last 5 minutes, although it's an hour lesson, we say do 55 minutes and finish the lesson early. Finish a bit early and just have a little chat with them. It's good, because you're not just developing their academic skills, you want to make them into good, holistic, well-rounded students so they can interact with adults, and that's key. So those are certain good things that I've seen throughout many lessons. So thanks for that, guys. Let's see. I'm going to skip. Again, energy is key. That's what I wanted to make a note of. How we show up for the kids also determines how they show up for us. If we've got the energy, if we're enthusiastic, and if we really excited about the students, then they will be as well. If we're like, there we go, we're gonna do some maths, it's boring and it rubs off on them. This is something that I've noticed in school myself. At certain days, especially mainly during Ramadan, I was low in energy, and the kids know you're fasting, but they pick up on these things, and as a result, they end up misbehaving, or they end up not, showing up as well as they should be. So as a teacher, you have to also be an actor, an actress. You have to literally show that energy to the kids as well, guys. So anyway, just a couple of important notices as well, because it could just message me. Make sure all the students have their camera on. If they don't, drop us a message, and I will try and get them to contact their parents. Registers on TutorBird. For those of you that don't know what that is, don't worry, that will come to you later on. I'll send you a link out to the account. Registers, we do this on TutorBird. We mark them within the first 5 minutes of the lesson, whilst the students are doing starter or something, and we go around, do the registers and mark them in. And in the first 5 minutes or so, also guys, first 5 to 8 minutes, let them come in and do the work. Don't come in and straight into the lesson. Have 5 to 8 minutes to kind of do whatever you need to do, registers, checking the homework. That's important. Check that they've done the homework and so on. And I mentioned they speak to every student at least twice in class, send notes to parents and upload on TutorBird. So within TutorBird, you can write down any notes and you can just upload it or send it to them if you need to as well. Again, the next bit, so those are kind of the nitty-gritty and things that I want to share with you. The next one is just our methodology. Before we move on to the next step of the meeting, our methodology at Aim High. Has anyone got any questions or anything so far? Am I still here? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, mate.
Okay. All right, cheers. Thanks. Okay, guys. So the next one, and again, apologies, it's going to be an informative one. It's just going to be lots of information. So here we go. Next one is the 4 steps, and most of you have watched this video that I created for parents, but I'm just going to quickly just skim over it. Now, our Aim High, the way I sell Aim High to parents is I kind of promise them that, look, you come and work with us and we've got 4 really simple steps that help children make between 1 to 2 grades in half the amount of time. That's kind of our promise to them. And every parent knows our methodology because I share it with them, open with them. And just thought I'll share it with everyone here so you understand. Now, I'm just going to skip a few things. But before we go to our 4 steps of methodology, there's 3 really important things for any sort of learning. I call this the Aim High pyramid or the Aim High trifecta. Now, what this is, here we go. Let me explain it. A strategy is things like exercise, revision notes, or learning something off YouTube, or watching a video, or learning something by reading. On its own, a strategy doesn't work. Okay, let me give you an example. If, for example, you want to lose weight or you want to get fit, there's lots of books out there that teach you that. There's lots of videos out there that teach you that. Joe Wicks or whoever he is, he even shows you what to eat as well. But on its own, just reading a book, it doesn't work. Yeah, a lot of people start these diets and things, and it doesn't last long. So what they lack is having the right mindset and the right habits. So what we need to instill is that strategy is what we teach them. The 4 steps I'm going to come to. The mindset is important because we need to kind of instill into students to do their homework on time, make sure that they've got some sort of a routine, like a revision schedule or some sort of habit that they're instilling. And just by coming to Aim High once a week, that is a habit for them because they're turning up. Make sure that you kind of encourage them to come early on into lessons and so on. And then with that, the strategy will be kind of supplemented and it'll help. But on its own, just having this mindset and the strategy and the habits isn't enough. You also need like the right environment. And that's the reason why we're so big on having a group session rather than having one-to-one. Because when you're in a group, you learn from the students. Yeah. So just it's the same with me. When I'm learning something on my own, it just doesn't work. But when I see somebody who's slightly better than me, and I kind of watch and I aspire to that person, and it makes me want to be better, good like that. So then I kind of pull myself up to their level. And whereas if you've got someone who's weaker than you, then you kind of sometimes feel confident and you know what, I'm okay, I'm better than him. And it gives you that bit of confidence. And so it's the same thing when kids go back into school, they'll go in a different environment and they'll think, you know what, I'm actually better than I think, I've got more confidence. So what I was going to use for the environment is an analogy I've used before. The analogy is, imagine you want to go and climb up Mount Everest. Would you rather do it alone, with no help, no kind of support, or would you rather go with someone that already knows how to get to it, but they're going as a tribe with people that also want to get to the top of that mountain? And most people will say, yeah, we're going to go with the guy that knows how to get to the top, the expert, as well as the others in that group that share the same vision, because you'll get there quicker. So that's the reason why we need to incorporate these 3 things within our lessons. How we can do that? The first one is our lessons, our structure, and how we deliver it, which I'm going to come to. The second one is, instilling little tips and things like that within students to develop their habits. Have a bit of competition that will help them to develop good habits. And the third one is that's the environment. Make an opposing environment within the class. No matter how many students you've got, have competitions in there. Have like things that they can do that will help each other move themselves up. Yeah. So have like literally you get the students to do all the work, get them to move each other up as well, and then you've got a winning formula, and then everything else works. Is this making sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yes, thanks for that. Nobody else, I'm sure it is. Now here we go. The strategy, our 4 steps to success, guys. The DTTR. If you haven't watched the video, please watch it because that will help you. First step is a diagnosis. You first find out where the gaps in their knowledge are, i.e. we do a checking test. The second one is a therapy. This is the teaching that you do throughout the lesson. The order in which you teach your stuff, your plan, your 4-week or your 8-week plan. The testing is then where you test the students to see have they learned what you've been teaching them, And the R, the review and revisit phase, is where you kind of go back to those topics but in a different context. It might be exam style questions or worded problems. And then once you complete these 4 steps, you kind of hit every little thing that they need to do. Now, this you can do both summatively and formatively, and you should do both. The summative version is where you do a check-in test in week 1, check-out test in week 10, for example, see how much progress they've made, then do a review and revisit in the last 2 weeks. The formative method, which you should always do in the lesson as well, is within the lesson. Shabazz, I saw this, you do this quite well. You do it, incorporate it into the lesson as well. So when they come, you might give them 1 question to check, can they do this? And then most of them can't do it, then that's when your therapy comes in. You teach them those topics, and at the end of the lesson, you give them another little test, give them the same question, can they now answer it? If they can answer it, boom, you've done it. And in the last day, you could do like a exam style question. So these things are like key, and they underpin everything that we do at Aim High. So incorporate it into the lesson throughout, not just check in, check out test, and review. Okay, so just summarize that really quickly, but please watch that video. It goes through it. If you need that video, I'll send you the link. So again, this is some examples how we do it. These are our check-in tests. You can see it identifies where the gaps in the knowledge for students are, and the therapy phase is like our plan. Basically, you decide a plan on how you're going to teach, what you're going to teach, and when you're going to teach it. And the testing phase is the checkout test, or you might have a test within the class or within every lesson, and so on. These are some examples of check-in and checkout tests. So they checked in at 38%, 35%, and they checked out at 89%, and then you can see he's made progress. So that's one way we do it in maths. English, you have different ways. Science, you have different ways. So as long as you've got some sort of methodology that you're using to measure progress, that's important, and record your results. And the test and revisit and review phase is exam style questions, different context questions, making them have given them like certain things that are quite hard than what they normally see. Again, I'm just skipping through all these guys. Mention summative and formative. Summative, check-in test, check-out test, review. Formative is you do those steps in every single lesson. You put them in. Start at the start of the lesson. You teach the lesson, test in the lesson, review and revisit the lesson. So that's really quickly. I've gone through our 4 steps, and make sure you've kind of understood that those. Hang on, I'm just gonna go back. Those kind of important steps. Right. I know I'm 100 miles an hour here, but is everyone okay with those steps so far?
Yeah.
Mariam, Wasima, Jalika, is this all making sense to you guys?
Yes, makes complete sense.
Okay. It's actually really simple, like the methodology. It's just we've worded it so that it might sound a bit complicated, but you probably all do this anyway, but it's just formalizing it, because this is what the parents are hearing, and this is what we should kind of instill into young people as well. Okay, let me just check. Saida, I want to ask if you could,
Yes.
could you do a 5-minute tutorial or less if you want on how to use Classkick?
Classkick, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what Saida is going to do now, guys, is she's going to share with you Classkick, which is an awesome resource which allows you to see what the students are doing online, or even if you're doing face-to-face as well. So I'm going to allow you to become host.
I think.
Can you
Okay.
share your screen?
No, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Could you screen share it now?
Yeah, now I can.
Off you go. Guys, if you are making notes, it will be quite helpful as well.
Okay. So yeah, I tend to use Classkick for in the I do, we do, you do. This is the you do portion. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I do that. So I'm going to make a blank assignment. The one thing I will say is Classkick tends to go a little bit slow when you're screen sharing. So this might be a little bit slow. But, here we go. So start this off. And so let's say, for example, I wanted to do a lesson on iteration. So I've got the name there, and you can put in a description if you like. And then we've got some slides, and we can add some more here. So if I go into the first one, what I tend to do is I tend to take screenshots of the questions I'm doing. So usually the exam style questions, and then I'll use those to create the Classkick document. So if I go on one of these and open this up, you can select which part of this you want. So if I just select the question here and say I don't want that much space, so I'll select the question, and then you can check it there that you've got what you want. And then you can click add another, and then you can add more from the same page. So I can just add that box for the answer as well. Hit next and hit finish. And those are going to come onto here. So this is the page that the student will see. So you can lay it out however you want. So I can put the question there. We've got a few different tools here. So if I use the text box tool for the title, and then we've got the question there, and we've got the answer here. And then the things that make it interactive. So we've got the pen tool and a highlighter tool, as well as an eraser tool. And then we've got a line tool here as well for like graphs and things. But we've got a few things here that can make it a bit more interactive. So the main one that I tend to use is this one, fill in the blank, so I'll put a square where I want them to put the answer. And so what they'll see is a green box for them to fill in their answer. And then I can add whatever an acceptable answer is. So let's say 7 was the correct answer. And if there's more than one correct answer, you can put that in as well. So let's say 6.5 was also a correct answer. You can put those in. And then the student, when they answer those, I'll be able to show you in a sec, you'll be able to see if that's correct or incorrect. A few other tools that I use. So this one is add manipulation. So as you can see here, it just means that you make one part of the page movable, and then they can answer things. So this, I think you can use in a lot of different formats. So if I show an example, let's say I uploaded an image for the next question. So I'm going to go to another screenshot and open that up. And let's say the students were going to be taking a look at this. So I'll put that there for my second question. And then I would go to add manipulation, select file, and then I'd go back to that screenshot. And then I'd select the parts that I want to be movable for that question. So the parts that we would want, say it's these numbers in the middle, it's a bit small to see here, but I would select those numbers. Click next. So I've got the number 7 there, next again. And then I would add the rest, so I can do it for the number 1 as well over here. And then I would do that for however many I wanted them to be able to move. And click finish. And then just place those over the image. And what that means is the students will be able to take that and move that in order to, excuse me, in order to answer their question. And then the last thing that I also use is this one here, multiple choice, where you might have a question over here, you'll write one in and you'll have some choices, and then clicking on this, you can select which one's the correct answer. So if we select C and then click save, you get this little icon here, and you can have that on the question, and again for them to click on. So those are a few examples of how I create a worksheet in Classkick. And if we just step out of this, when you want to assign it to a student, we're going to assign here, and we click on assign a roster. So I've got these lessons here, which are all the ones that I've used. So I'm just going to create a new roster as an example. So we'll just call it test. And then also you can color coordinate so it's easier to see, and click OK. So now that I've created that roster, it gives you a code here, which if we click this, it's got a copy link option. And that's what I put in the chat box. So I'll put that in the chat box for everyone to click on, and then they'll be able to open this up. So if I just open that up in a new tab, I can show you what the student sees and what you're also able to see.
Can we click on that link and see if whatever answer we put on, can you see on our screen if we all click on that link in the chat box?
Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, it might be a bit slow for mine. Go, and then yeah, you can just pop in the name and hit go. And that should open up for them. So they'll have different, of course, different slides as well. So let's say they put in an answer for this, they've chosen an answer for that, and they've moved a few of these around, like so. So the students doing that, they've answered those 3 questions, they've moved on to the next slide. If I go back onto what I can see as the teacher, if we click view work here, so I can see all of you are on there, and then you can see for the teacher, I can see this person here, but the answer is 3, which is wrong, and B, which is also wrong. So we can see that. Whereas if I go up to another teacher, so he's got it correct.
It tells you if it's right or wrong. Who got that right? Who got 7?
Yeah, example answer.
All right, okay.
And then, so I can also, so usually I make my pen color green for the students to see. And then, so I would tick that, and I could tick that. Whereas for the incorrect one,
so Shabazz would see that on his screen then? The tick.
Yeah, he would see that on his screen as I'm writing it. Whereas this one, I would highlight it and say, okay, we need to take a look at this question. Let's take a look in a bit more detail and give the student a hand. And you can, if I just come out, you can see everyone who's moving on. So I can see, okay, most students are still on the first slide, but this person's moved on to the second slide, and it'll move along as well, however many slides you've got. And you could just kind of keep an eye on what level everyone's working at. And then you've got these little icons here, so I can see students here have answered correctly. This student, I don't think has put an answer in yet. This one's got it wrong, and so you can use that to see as well. And then if you do assign more than one class, so if, for example, if I could just come out of this and go into diagrams maybe. So if you click on view work, this class that I assigned it to previously, so I think there are 3 students in that class at that time who did this work, but then if I assign it to another class, you can just come up here and you can see the other roster I assigned it to. And I think for this one, it was just 1 student that wanted to work on this topic. So it should just be hers on here. Yeah, and you can see she's a bit further down and she's just done that work there. And those are the basics of Classkick.
Thanks for that. So that was really helpful. And remember, guys, you can use this if you're online or face-to-face. It doesn't matter. It's a really good tool for homework as well. So I did make a little video with Michael as I was showing him how to use Classkick, and I can share that link with you, and you can watch it, and it kind of goes over how you set it up again as well. So yeah, thanks for that, Saida. Really helpful. If you do need any help with Classkick, get into, in the group, guys, in the WhatsApp, you just message each other. It's not a problem. Ask Saida, she'll be more than happy to show you, or ask each other, whoever you think is good at something, or just put it in the group. Oh, guys, can someone help me with this? And then someone will reach out, and that's the kind of community I want within AIM High. I want people to help each other out, and it's really helpful. Guys, I am aware we did start a bit late, 10 minutes late. But are we okay for time, or does anyone need to go? Just got one or 2 more things to do.
I'm okay for time.
If you guys, I really appreciate it. Probably no more than hopefully 10 minutes we'll have. Shabazz, are you okay to share as well?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, so one of the my camera so I can see me. One of the things that's really important, guys, is the environment side is having also a bit of fun, having a competition element within the lesson. So certain things like quizzes, QUIZZ, IZ is spelled, it's an American program, that's quite good. It's got ready-made quizzes, and Kahoot is quite good for a lot of people as well. And this works again online and face-to-face, and use it. I see Shabazz blasting them out every single lesson. But I think it gives him feedback, doesn't it? Like what can they do, what can't they do?
Yeah, you can download a report at the end of it, which shows you gaps and where, how many questions they got wrong, which areas to focus on, and then you can bespoke homework from that.
And I think the main thing is we want the kids to enjoy it. What we don't want to do is kids to drop off, because then we know something's not right, and that's when we need to find out what it is. So let the kids enjoy. They do all the boring stuff in school. We are going to still do kind of the normal things that they have to do. But engagement is key. Get them to love coming to a lesson. I know some kids really look forward to coming to tuition at AIM High. I just want every child to have that in there. So Shabazz, I'm going to make you a co-host, and you'll be able to share your screen.
Right. Okay. Kahoot is what we're going to look at today. So looking at Kahoot quickly, I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs. It's self-explanatory, some of it. So you can simply search Kahoot in Discover. As you can see, I'll show you an example in a minute, and you get a range of different quizzes. You can also create your own quiz, which is what I believe Arif wanted me to show you. Let me just go back. Oh, it's not letting us. Let's have a quick flick at it. There's something wrong with Kahoot. Yeah, but the general gist of it is trying to make it competitive. There you are. You can hopefully, let's try and create one again. Yeah, hopefully it's going to work. Create a new Kahoot, and it's a multiple choice quiz. You can add, it's simple here. You can add animations, you can add videos, you can add whatever you want. So if I was to say, for example, let's create one here. Start typing your answer. Let's have a look. What? So that's a quiz here question there. You can insert a media. Again, it's onerous, but you can search here. Let's have a quick flick to see if we can guess it. Anyone know that answer anyway? Anyone know what the answer is to that question that I put on? Can you see the question? Other than Arif, obviously. Nobody. So this is what I like. This is the problem with online. When you don't get a response,
it's because they've not got their cameras on.
I mean, you might have your cameras on, but you can still answer the question. That's the problem with it, isn't it? So, I mean, there you are. Look, what degree does Arif have? We can go for aero. Yeah, I'm hoping I get it right myself. Is it? I forgot what we got, Arif. Aeronautical engineering. How do I spell it?
You're making the questions, mate. So.
I know, but I'm giving you an example here. So,
yeah.
And then what you simply would do is tick the question, and you give it an allocated time. Again, some questions you can even do math questions, which are great. Like, when I'm looking at physics equations, they can be quite tricky. So, or chemistry, quantitative chemistry, and I can show you some examples if you want to see some. They might need about a minute for some of those questions because they need to get the periodic table up, they need to get a calculator, they need to look at working out. And the benefit of this again is once they've got one wrong, which I like doing, I use the annotate feature here on Kahoot. So I'll show you an example. Actually, let's try a Kahoot quiz that's already been made. So here we go. Which one's this? Let's have a quick flick. 194 questions. You're not going to do this. It's massive. This would be like a review. They'd never get through this in an hour. But what I'd like you to do, guys, is quickly type in www.kahoot.it if you've not used it before. And what you'll get given is a quiz code in a second. And the biggest mistake a lot of people make is put a space between the codes. So it's 585 with no space, 6419. And then you guys can see what it's like on your side. The problem a lot of young people have using Kahoot is how to split screen, because you'll see shortly your screen will look totally different to mine. So I don't know how many of you, any of you used this before? Just give us a yes in the chat if you have. I know you're busy trying to log on at the same time, but when you get a second, yeah, Saeed has used it. So Saeed and Wasim, I expect you to be able to jump in and support with this one. Oh, they've all used it. Arif, they know how to use it. Waiting for a few more. Once in uni, I remember. Yeah. So you've all used it.
I think it's just kind of reminding people to use it so that they could.
Yeah, I'll show you how I use it. So it makes it, again, it's just sharing practice and how I get.
And there's other things like other platforms you can use, but I think the key thing is trying to make it interactive and engaging so the kids enjoy the learning as well. It's not just
absolutely
cheat.
And with this as well, though, I don't always stick to the questions that are on Kahoot. So from within the question, if they've got it wrong, you can ask obviously questions within the questions. You've never used it for teaching. I'll show you now. I'm going to start with 4 less. I think 4 of us are snoozing. So I'm just going to start regardless, just to show you an example. So this is what, you've used it for fun, and you'll see what it looks like. So you'll get a question. The first one, I think, is a multiple choice out of 2. It's dead easy. What does it say? This one's dead straightforward. This one's a simple yes or no, really. Is either one or the other. So 50-50 gives you a great understanding straight away on how strong they are at the subject. So I can see now that a third of the class don't understand this topic. So from within that, I can then stem a question. So, right, guys, in the chat, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to name 2 eukaryotic cells or a eukaryotic cell. And then see if even those people that have got it right, have they just fluked it? Have they just clicked on eukaryotic and got it right? Or do they actually understand what a eukaryotic cell is? And then if they don't get it, then that's it. I'll take a note. What I do is I put the note in my phone under my notes for that class. I'll put a note and I'll be right, okay, that's something we'll have to look at next week or look at later on in the lesson as the lesson progresses. You might find that they're skimming through that Kahoot with no problem. They might be, answering all the questions. You can see here, let's have a look. Wasima got it quite quickly, so I'll take it. Wasima, your science knowledge is pretty good, so we'll test it out one more question, see how you get on with it, and then we'll see whether or not that was a fluke or whether you've got a sound knowledge. Now, this one again, you're looking at a bit more of an in-depth knowledge. This is quite a detailed question. Not everybody will know this. I don't know when the last time you guys did science was, but again, we've got 1 right, 1 wrong, 1 drop off, 1 person didn't answer. So from that, I can see now that Arif and Juleka are either not answering the question or something's going wrong. So Arif, what's the issue with your internet? Are you not answering questions?
It's working. I just got it wrong.
You got it wrong. See, and that's it. This is something you can use as a tool to pick them out straight away. If they're not doing it, they're doing it. So what's the issue? Everything going all right? Yes, it is. Just not getting it right. Cool. Let's try again. I use the annotate feature whilst the question. So like now, for example, we'll try last question here. If I'm doing maths, for example, or a formula, and they're getting the questions wrong or they're not understanding the question, I simply will click on the annotate button and start looking through the breakdown of the question. So for this one, I can it's tricky to explain when there's not a math question really. It's more for the math type of question. I can break down balancing an equation, how to balance the equation, and I could do it all on that one screen. What I tend to do in this situation is I can see now if I look at the leaderboard and see the leaderboard has, let me stop formatting. See if I can stop drawing. I look at the leaderboard and if Saida is still in the lead, I'll set Saida right inside. The next question, what I'd like you to do is take control of the screen and annotate and look at the balanced equation or look at the formula, and I want you to explain to the class how you come about getting the answer. So it gets them, although it's Kahoot, it gets them on the screen, it gets them working out what they're doing. So finally, I'll finish off with this last question, give a chance for Saida to finish on a high, and then we'll look at the class report, which is the next step. Go on, if you need to get 1 right, at least, mate, come on. I just remind us, you did A-level science as well, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I did.
What is going on here, Arif? You obviously need...
You're not paying attention.
You obviously need some retrieval practice here. But then, I mean, again, this is the competitive element. A lot of young people, believe it or not, actually look forward to coming first within this quiz. That they'll be itching. Some of them get it right, get less questions right, but they get them right faster. So they get to the top simply on speed, and they really want to win. So well done, Saida. As you can see there, Saida got first spot. Arif, I don't think you come on the spot.
I didn't even make it onto the podium.
Normally your podium, normally they show you the 4th and the 5th as well, but because you did so badly, you didn't get a single wrong. But there,
I think this is quite good as well to even just screenshot and share, and even via tutor, just copying and pasting it into parents as well to say, look, your child did that. And it might be a bit gimmicky, but parents like that. How many times, for those of you that are parents, how excited do you get when a teacher, somebody has said, oh, your child came first or second? It's good, isn't it? So you could even just post that in tutor, even to the student. I just sometimes little gimmicks like this do help. But I think the best tool, the best purpose this serves is the fact that it's good assessment for learning. You can check, have they learned something, have they understood something. I think that's one of the reasons why I like it as well. Yeah, and again, if you click on view full report, this was a very brief short one. You can see it gives you a percentage on how confident the class are at the whole quiz. So if that's 20 questions, it'll give you a percentage. Say if it's anything above 60-70%, you know that the class have understood that topic sound. You could do it as a plenary. I usually use it with my Key Stage 3 as a starter from previous lessons to see what they retained. I can see who needed help there the most. You can see there that Arif got 0%, Wasima got 2%. So you can see how they all got on. You can go into more depth with the reports. I don't know if you've seen these before. It's probably worth looking at a more recent report. Let me have a quick flick. If I click on then reports, if I then click on reports, you can see
I'll click on this one. This is one that I did before. You can see there 33%, not so good. So I've now looked at I've made a plan from this for the next 4 weeks for the class to see where things have gone wrong. I've looked at the difficult questions already. I know the nerve cells and stem cells are weak. I can, if I want, I can even create a quiz just on those difficult questions. So if I click on the difficult questions, and if I click on 1 second, I think I missed it. You can actually create a quiz just on that. Yeah, there you are. If you click create there, and only those questions that the majority of the class got wrong will come up again. So once you've taught them, all you have to do here is give it a name, click on duplicate, give the quiz a name, rename the quiz, and then once you've taught them, review them with the 10 questions or whatever they got wrong. It's taking time for this for some reason. And you have it, there you have it. Right, guys, I don't want to take any more of your time. If you've got any more questions, guys, feel free to pop up on the chat like I've said earlier, and be happy to help.
Yeah, thanks for that. And again, in the group, just share things, guys. If you've got anything good, any good ideas in the WhatsApp group, just share it. It's not spamming. It's good. It's just to share practice because you never know who it might help. And yeah, so thanks for that, Shabazz. Yes, so guys, I think that's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to discuss. Apologies if I didn't go 100 miles an hour, but it is what it is. So just a few kind of little announcements and things like that before. These are certain things that I've been asked to share with you guys. So again, here as just reminders again, it's a new term. Make sure you are doing at the start. So from this week, do a new check-in test to find out where this child is at. Make a note of that, and then teach those topics. Make a medium-term plan so you know exactly what you're doing each week with the students. And then later on, just before Christmas, you can do a checkout test. It's up to you when you do it, how you do it. Because I want you guys to be independent, this rather than me micromanaging or other people micromanaging. You kind of use your professional judgment on when to do a checkout test. For those of you that are using MathWatch, clear your classes, as in if there's any class with students that don't exist anymore that are in your class, get rid of them and start with your fresh classes. Otherwise, it just gets too complicated, and then the other students who have moved to a different class will get homework that you set. So just bear that in mind. There are check-in and check-out test formats on MathWatch. You can use that. Yeah, whenever a new student comes, we are going to have, I'm just going to tell you as it is, guys, we're going to have new students coming in every single week, yeah, until we can get, because it's a new year, so it's just going to happen. So whenever a new student comes, make sure if you're using any websites, give them their username, create their username and passwords, and share that with them in the lesson, get them to write it down, and then also put it on Tutorbird and email it, so then they've got that. There's no excuses there. And within, guys, what I don't want everyone to do is do 1 whole hour of just teaching. That doesn't work. Break your lessons down. I'm going to send you a link. I did share it with you in the WhatsApp group previously, but in your lessons, make the first 5 to 8 minutes something that the kids just get on with. This allows any latecomers to come in, and also it allows you to do your registers. It allows you to check home.
Right, guys, it's probably worth giving it a minute. I don't know why I'm the host, but it's probably worth giving it a minute. And if Arif doesn't make it back on, I think we'll conclude at that, because we've been at it for a while. It's half an hour's gone on for a while. So give him a second, and if he crops back up, great. If not, have a great weekend.
Sorry, guys. I think that's like a cue for me to be quiet.
I almost dismissed them, Arif. If you were a minute late, they'd be gone.
That's fine. Cheers anyway. But I'm really finished anyway. I think it's my credit, but my 30 minutes free trial from this cafe has run out. So anyway, so what I was gonna say, where was I up to? Shabazz, remind me before I cut off.
You were saying have a great weekend.
Right, okay, yeah, I will say that. Just a quick last minute check actually. I don't want to, yeah, holidays. These are some, so this year is, we're gonna have like the Christmas holidays, 2 weeks, Easter holidays, 1 week, and summer holidays. Again, it's up to you. We'll open the option out. We'll have August off unless you want to carry on like you did most of you. So those are kind of the holidays. And if there's any Eid bank holidays and things like that, we probably put those around in as well. But that's the main homework, the main holidays. And I was saying the starter, first 5 to 8 minutes, do something, get all the admin work done, finish 5 minutes earlier so that you've got time to kind of wind down for the next lesson. And is there anything else, guys, that you want to discuss or you want to share? No, look, I'm going to be here for a few minutes because I know some people have got questions that they want to ask me, especially if you're new. Stick around, I'll be here. And if not, though, just another final thing, Ikra asked me to mention, class sizes are going to get slightly bigger, guys. I understand it's a bit hard, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to streamline it. So we're trying to get just higher kids in one class, just foundation kids in one class, and just kind of key stage 3 kids in one class. But at the moment, they're all coming in, so we just place them in classes. So we understand it is a bit harder, but you probably expected to see around 10 kids in a class if it's online. But we're gonna see how that goes. You just bear that in mind. So apologies if that is quite hard for some of us. Has anyone got any questions?
I think the only issue with that sometimes can be if when we need to feedback on kids and stuff like you said, put on TutorBird, and that's very timely then.
Yeah.
So I appreciate we've all got the right intentions and all of that to try and do it as as good as we want, but when you've got 10 kids in a class and you've got a class after the other to do all the admin stuff, it adds up.
Yeah, it does.
Quite quickly.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's what we're mindful of as well. So that's why I say, like, finish the lesson off early. Don't spend the full hour, 55 minutes, or even if you want, not like really short lesson, but based on what you think is necessary, maybe a bit, and then give them tasks to do. So in the last 5 minutes that they can do independently, and that's when you can log off and do your admin work. And then, in the first 5 to 8 minutes of the next lesson, give them starters or something that they can be getting on with whilst you do the registers and all that admin work. So that's what we'll have to. Sorry, can you hear me? Cutting off. Okay. So yeah, that's what you're just gonna have to try and do. I know it's hard. Well, just bear with us and hopefully just try your best. So like I say, and we'll review it after a few weeks and see how it goes. Anyone else got any questions? Okay, if you haven't got anything, guys, thank you so much for jumping on to the call. We'll be in touch with you if you haven't already. But if you want to stick around, I'll show you any tutorials on MathWatch, TutorBird, or anything you need. Just stick around. If not, have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much.
Take care, Arif, mate. See you soon.
Take care.